Hey guys, it's Genevieve, and in this video we're going to learn how to draw a watercolor cactus in Procreate. In this tutorial I am using the brushes from the Ultimate Watercolor Toolbox as well as the pre-textured watercolor file, again from the Ultimate Watercolor Toolbox. I'll link it in the description below if you're interested in checking it out. Otherwise you can still follow along with different brushes, you're just going to get different results, of course. The first thing we're going to do, well in my case I'm going to hide the example, but the first thing we're going to do is create a new layer and select a nice green that is going to be the base color for your cactus. If you have the watercolor toolbox, go ahead and select the dark edges watercolor brush with a medium to large size. And we are just going to draw the main shape for your cactus. If you go online, you're going to see that you have a bunch of different shapes and types of cactuses. In this tutorial, you can really use it to draw any type that you want. It's going to be the same technique, just different shape. So here's what I'm going for. Once you have your basic shape, go back to your layer and click on the layer that you just created. It's going to open the layer options and select Alpha Lock, and you're going to see some sort of a checkered pattern that appears in the back. And what it means is that whatever you're going to draw on this specific layer is going to stay within the color that you just applied. So if I show you with a bright pink, if I draw, you see it stays within the green. This is not what I want, so I'm just going to undo that. But what we want is a darker green. I'm going to use the basic watercolor for this. And we are going to add some shadows and details in the cactus, just like this. And you can see having the alpha lock on really helps, because otherwise you would have to erase all around and it would take forever. We don't have time for that. So something as easy as that. And we're going to blend the inside edges, so either select the smudge tool here or the watercolor wash if you have the watercolor toolbox. And just go ahead and really quickly blend this one, or this side of the edge in, while keeping these one crisp, because it's kind of the, it's where the different parts of the cactus connect, so you want to have them really clean and nice. So this is already looking pretty damn cool. The next thing we're going to do, it depends on the type of cactus that you have, but we're going to draw some vertical lines along it. So just create a new layer. And in this case, I'm going to use the color shifting blotches and just draw vertical lines that are slightly curved to show that your cactus is three-dimensional. Don't forget the other little sections here. Awesome. Then you can merge two layers together, and to merge layers in Procreate, just squish them with your fingers. That's it. We're making some really good progress. Now's the time to add some shadows, some lights, and some color variation. Go ahead and select the selection tool and select the bottom part of your cactus with a freehand. And with feather, somewhere between 20% and 30%, you're going to create some sort of gradient in your selection, which is going to allow you, when you do go to your adjustment panel, then hue, saturation, brightness, to have some adjustments that are applied in a gradient way instead of a straight line. So lower your brightness, make the hue a bit more blue, and you can lift up the saturation a little bit. And see, if you deselect, now you have a nice shadow on this side. Now we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to add some light. I'm going to draw this little ellipse here. I'm going to feather it again. Oops. Sorry about that. Feather it again. But this time we're going to lift up the brightness, saturation again, and the hue, we're going to make it a bit more yellow. deselect, and now we have a yellow spot here, which looks really cool. Final thing I'm going to do with this technique is I'm going to draw a random squiggly shape, feather it, really important. And without touching the brightness, I'm just going to make the hue a bit more blue. And what this does is it creates the illusion that you had different types of pigments when you were painting in watercolor. Great! Now we're missing a really important thing. We're missing the spikes on the little cactus. So go ahead and create a new layer. And with a smaller brush, I'm going to use the coloring pencil. You're just going to draw little check marks or little three little things like that along the vertical lines that you traced. Nothing fancy, you don't want to be too precise. Also make sure that there are some that kind of pokes out of the edges, because that looks cool. And don't forget the different sections that you have if you do have some. You can see I'm going really quickly here because I don't want this tutorial to last for 3 hours, but you can take as much time as you need and you can kind of go really, really slow if you feel like it, or you can just go really quickly too and you'll see you still get some cool results. Now, one thing that you might notice is that we can see them really well on the lighter sections of the cactus, but not so well on darker sections. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the layer, and we're going to click on this little N, which is going to open the blending modes. This is kind of an advanced feature. I might do a different tutorial if you're interested, comment below. But for now, just go select color burn, or linear burn, sorry, and lower the opacity until you're satisfied with it. In my case, I'm going to go something like this. So you see now it's more balanced. Yeah. Next step is optional. We're going to add some flowers. If you don't want flowers, just skip ahead. But if you do, create a new layer and select the color that you want for your flower. Usually it's going to be a pink or orange, sometimes a red or yellow. And grab the soft grainy watercolor. And it's super easy. Just draw little petals like this without lifting your pencil. And now lift it, and you're just going to layer them. And see, that took a few seconds, and you have a really cool looking flower. I could add one here too. There we go. Awesome. We have something that looks really, really cool already. Now we're going to do my favorite step, which is to add the salt brush. But to add the salt brush, one thing that I need to tell you is you need to deactivate the alpha lock, otherwise it's not going to work. So deactivate that and go select your salt brush. And it's a brush that doesn't have any color to it, so it doesn't matter which one you have selected here. All that matters is that you drag from a transparent section towards the inside of your shape. And you see you have nice little speckles that just kind of appear. Cool. We can also add some splatters. This time we're going to need to select a color, and quite a saturated one too. And I'm just going to add splatters around the cactus. Awesome. If you just want a cactus, you're done. But I think the coolest part is to also add a little pot, because it makes it just so cute. So you're going to select all your layers by swiping them towards the right and group them. And this is going to be your cactus group. You can rename it if you want. Cactus. And below it, you're going to create a new layer. And you're going to select a color that you want for your pot. So you can go with something that is brown, or you can go and just have something completely different. You can have blue or whatever. And with the dark edges watercolor, I might lift the cactus up a little bit like this. So with the dark edges watercolor, go ahead and draw the shape that you want for your pot. It can be a circle, it could be whatever shape you want. I'm just going to go with a more traditional shape, but you saw in the example that I had at first, I had a round pot as well, and it looked really cute. So that's really up to you. So go ahead and draw that shape. Cool. We're also going to add some soil, so create a new layer and select a darker brown and basic watercolor. And just draw the shape that you want for your soil. Oh, sorry about that. Cool. One issue we have now is you see the cactus is slightly transparent since it's watercolor. So we're going to erase the pot and the soil behind it. And what I'm going to do is a trick that not a lot of people think to do but makes such a big difference is when you click on your eraser, if you double click on it, you also access the brush library. So you can actually change the type of brush that you're using to erase. So in this case, I'm going to use the Dark Edges watercolor as the eraser. And I am just really quickly going to erase the soil and the pot. Cool. I am also going to erase a border around the pot. So with the color shifting brushes this time, I'm just erasing a little section here because I think it looks cool. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. And now I've noticed the cactus is kind of floating a little bit, so I'm going to bring it down and just redo real quick erasing. And that's the beauty of digital watercolor. You wouldn't be able to do that with real watercolor, what I just did. But see, it took us a few seconds, and now we have a cactus that doesn't look like it's floating as much. I might erase this part of the actual cactus too. Cool. Now you get to decorate the pot, which is honestly the most fun part after the salt brush. And for that, you can use a bunch of techniques. So what I like to start doing is adding some shadows with the selection tool and then the feather, like we did on the cactus, but on the pot. And that already looks cool. You can also do make a selection. This time, not feather it. Go back to hue, saturation, brightness, and change the hue. Kind of if you had a pot that was dipped in paint or something. So it's going to be a two-tone pot. You can do that. You can also not do that. And instead, on your pot layer, go back with the eraser and select a brush that you want. Select an eraser shape that you want, sorry. And erase little decorations. So you can erase little lines like this. You can add some little dots and make it really cute. So honestly, for the pots, the shape of the pot, and as well the cactus, because there are so many different types, only limit is really just your imagination. So you can go crazy and do so many different little cactuses. Speaking of which, if you do use this tutorial to create a cactus illustration in Procreate, I would love to see it, so please tag me either on Instagram or Facebook. If you have an idea for your tutorial you would like to see, please comment below and I'll make sure to read it. And speaking of below, I'll also link the watercolor toolbox in the description. Otherwise, I'll see you soon.